My name is Brent Rose. I am 35 years old, and I live in a van down by the river. Except it's actually a really cool van that I've added a ton of technology to. Today we're going to be talking about all the customizations I've done to this baby, so it can be ready for my high-tech lifestyle. So you know how we've been calling this video series Out of Office? Well, I was tired of sitting at the same desk every day, so I gave up my apartment and most of my stuff, and I bought a big converted van, which I'm now living in full-time as I drive around the country. I've been at it for more than a month now. When I first bought Ashley the Beast, she was grossly underpowered. She had outlets all over the inside, which was great, but I couldn't run anything off of them unless she was plugged into shore power or unless the generator was running, which is loud and not good for incognito camping. So I brought her to AM Solar in Springfield, Oregon, and they really hooked me up. What am I talking about? I'm talking about 320 watts of solar panels that feed down at about 17 amps straight into my brand new 200 amp hour lithium battery. This thing is beautiful. Not only is it the same size as my old 80 amp hour lead acid battery, but I can drain it all the way down to about 15%, whereas the lead acid, you risk damaging it after you go past 50. This gives me way more usable power. I have all of that running into a beast of a 3,000 watt hybrid inverter. Not only can it power all the little things in the van, but it can handle the big ticket items too, including the air conditioner, although only for about an hour or so before I deplete the battery about 50%. But still, that's sick. With all that stuff together, I can keep my fridge constantly cold and all my gadgets charged without ever really needing to worry about running out of power. That in itself has allowed me to basically go completely off the grid. It's huge. Let me tell you about some of the other stuff. So obviously I sleep in here, I've got a lot of gadgets in here, so security is going to be really important to me. So I got the top of the line system from Viper. This included the 5806 and the GPS Smart Start system. It's a two-way system, so if my alarm goes off, I'll know about it through my keychain or through my smartphone app, even if I'm far away. The system also has a microphone which can detect the crash of glass, but it's made for some humorous situations. For example, even with that Viper system, I wanted to make sure my gadgets were especially safe. So I completely dismantled this cabinet and I installed the Viking Safe VS38BL with biometric fingerprint scanner. It's big enough to fit my laptop, microphones, recorders, hard drives, all that stuff. And I've installed it in such a way that taking it out would take a long time, hopefully while the alarm is blaring. The fingerprint scanner is kind of just showing off, but whatever, it's a teched out van, so I'm running with it. I'm also using this little Bluetooth GPS dongle called Automatic. It basically installs right into your vehicle's diagnostics port and it can tell you things about the vehicle's health. It can even call the authorities if you get into an accident. It's just an extra layer of security. But what about tunes? Well, as you can see, the stereo system is pretty out of date. Oh, just kidding. This is actually the top-of-the-line Pioneer AVIC 8100 NEX. It's got a capacitive touchscreen, it runs Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, has its own built-in navigation, and even supports backup cameras, which has made my life much, much easier. The guys who installed it had to slice open the dash and expand it from a single DIN slot to a double DIN slot, but they've managed to make it match perfectly. They also built this amazing little end cap thing to make it just a little bit more subtle. It's maybe my favorite modification. So now I had this sweet stereo head, but it was all coming through these two wimpy in-dash speakers. So the guys installed two Phoenix Gold 6x9s right behind the front two chairs and a kicker bass station right underneath the table. I now have a very, very satisfying amount of bass. And then my friend made a custom EQ to match the van's resonant frequency. It's by no means an audiophile grade system, but it sounds really, really nice. What else? When I first got the van, it was filled with small incandescent bulbs, which were a real power suck. So I went through and replaced them all with high output, high efficiency LEDs. It gives me the same amount of light for about 1/5 the amount of power consumption, which makes a huge difference overnight. But when I want to set the mood, I've got these. This is the Enaview Cube. It's a small, battery-powered cube. It's got 3 white settings, and then it scrolls through every color you can possibly imagine. When you get to one you like, you just hit the button again, and you freeze it. I use 4 of these things across the van, and it really helps create a more relaxing atmosphere. It's kind of like being in first class on a Virgin Atlantic flight. Or so I imagine. But honestly, some of my favorite alterations have been the little mods. Like the moment when I first realized there was an 1.5 inch gap behind these 2 seats and a solid piece of wood up here. I finally had a place to hang my suits. Or finding a place for these 2 coat hooks where I probably wouldn't lose an eyeball. I also found an out-of-the-way place to mount my garbage can with bungee cords. I've been using this plastic sink liner so my gray water tank doesn't fill up quite as quickly. These may seem like small things, but when you're living in a small space, these little conveniences add up really quickly. So that's most of the customizations I've made to the Beast here, but there are more on the way. And if you've got ideas for some, I want to hear about it. Let me know through Twitter or Instagram, and don't forget to follow at connectedstates.com. I hope to see you out there on the road, and thank you for watching.